What's good people? I'm Justin Miller on the Blends of Athletics, and today we want to talk about development, and I want to use a clip from Tom Brady to bring this point forth and bring this point home. If you like the content, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and as always, be legendary.
Everybody knows how to develop a quarterback. You're assuming that you're going into a program. I mean, I'm telling you, this is not. There's a lot of people who have no idea what they're doing when they're tasked with coaching a quarterback or calling an offense. So are you saying, I mean, just like we rank quarterbacks 1 to 32, do you rank offensive coordinators 1 to 32? Do you rank quarterback coaches 1 to 32? Well, what if you have the 32nd ranked coordinator in someone's mind, or the 32nd ranked quarterback coach? How is he getting a level of development that the guy who's first is getting? When I got to the Patriots, I sat behind Drew.
To bring forth his first point, when it comes to quarterback development, really skill development, I want to talk about it from a training perspective and the training side of things. And maybe it'll get into a little bit of the nuance of sports such as football, because that's a sport that I started with basketball, but football is the most consistent sport that I've been around throughout my career, and sport that I've also played. And I think just in regards to what his message, I want to bring forth that point home in those two perspectives. And so as you're watching this video, think about the duality of what I'm saying. When it comes to developing athletes in general, I like to use a coactive model. I cannot remember who exactly coined this term or made it, but it was on. I can't even think of the website now. But anyway, you have the psychological effect of being an athlete. Then you have the physical aspect, the tactical aspect, and the technical aspect. And those four buckets produce the athlete to be the best that he or she can be. You can work on physical aspects all you want, and I think that's where we are now in sports and development today. Is a lot of people work on the physical aspect way more than the psychological aspect, the technical aspect, and the technical and tactical aspect. Tactical aspects is just what you do at practice. So that's the game plan, what you're going to do, how you're going to implement it, things like that. And then the two that I feel like are most dropped off are the psychological and the technical aspects. You may say physicality and technicality go hand in hand, but they really don't, because you can have kids who are weight room strong or great smart players that do not know how to technically be sound in implementing either their technique or how to get the most from their bodies due to horrible technique. And so it all goes back to that. But and that's not just from a skill position or the skill aspect of running. That's also the aspect of how to get out the line. Let's use football. How to get out the line, how to get off a block, how to produce a block, how to stay on the block, how to do so, most of the things in order to make this athlete great. And so you have that technical component. The psychological component is, I think a lot of coaches, right or wrongfully so, because I can't speak for them, do not go over in this just in terms of development what they expect from the players, and then players what you expect from yourself. A lot of coaches are going to bucket players like this. He's tough, he's soft. Those are very general terms. What makes this player tough? What makes this player soft? Those are things that we have to go deeper into. Same thing with development. Whenever I have a kid and they come to me and I say, well, this kid is a great athlete, or this kid is able to produce at a high clip, and that kid is not able to produce, I had to ask myself the first question I'm going to ask myself, this is like in-season questioning that I'm going to ask myself is, what's lacking? Is this a technical thing? Is it a tactical thing? Which will be beyond me, because I don't know what your tactics are going week to week. I don't know if you change it. I don't know if you what are you studying in film? I can help and assist, but I'm not in the room. I'm not in the building to do those things. And then, is it a physical thing? Are we physically prepared? Are we mentally prepared? And mental preparation, people think it's just, oh, let's do hard stuff all the time. No, are you prepared for first, are you prepared to take on adversity and then overcome the adversity? Are you prepared to lead? Are you prepared to take on more if you need to? And then psychologically, how much of a psychological load can you handle? Because in a game, these are things that you're going to be dealing with. You have this is from a business standpoint. You have noise and signal, but we also have pollution as well. So you have eye pollution. What's eye pollution? Things that really don't matter, but they're there. So you got referees, you got towels, you got the uniform colors. All this stuff is eye pollution. Signal versus noise. Noise are things that don't matter. Signal is things that do matter. Where are the sticks? Where are my yard markers? What down is it? Down in distance. What are my reads? Things like this. When it comes to quarterbacks, and it's not just a quarterback problem, but quarterbacks have the most on their plate, regardless of across all positions. Quarterbacks, middle linebacker, safeties, kind of all within the same, or whoever your team deems to call defense, all within the same. This is what I've seen more times than not, and I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but I'm saying across. I watched a lot of football this year, last year, from a coach's perspective, over the last 11 years. And this is what you see. We are developing kids who have an inability to think. So these kids don't know how to read the defense. They don't know what their read is post-snap. So pre-snap is jacked. Post-snap is jacked. And they don't know what the goal is of the offense. It's like this. When I have a quarterback, right, I got a couple, and I talk, and they ask me questions, or we talk about this in training. It's about winning the down. Don't mess up the down. If it's 3rd and 3 and you're running a pass play, for instance, right? Let's say we're running it from, whatever position. We run a pass play. Well, don't try to do so much if the play goes wrong or you're getting pressure that you create 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15. Because not only is that affecting your drive, thinking about high school, but you probably don't have a punter that's able to flip the field, depending on where you are, to make that an advantage for your defense. Or your special teams probably is not as strong to help the defense have an advantage on that side of the ball. And so you have to win the down. How can we survive the down? If it's first down, instead of taking that sack 5-10 yards back, can we just throw it away and then live the fight on 2nd and 3rd down? Or are we going to try to be a hero and then make it work regardless of what's happening? And those are things that, again, going deeper into development, that you have to ask yourself, are we doing with quarterbacks, again, when we're running our pass sets, is the protection your responsibility or the coach's responsibility? Can you read the blitz versus a bluff? Do you know how to read your stunts versus not a stunt on the line of scrimmage if you need to, depending on what the play call is? Are you reading halves of the field or is the field in thirds? Are you going short side of the field or to the wide side of the field? What does your coach want you to read? Are you reading high to low, low to high? Are you running box concept? Like, it's so much stuff, and I think that if you don't, one thing I appreciate about when I played football is I didn't like it then, but I liked it later, is we were process oriented, not just detail oriented, or process oriented. And so you watched your practice film, but you also watched film with your position group, or your coach told your position group what we're trying to do, what the details of the defense. It's so many kids that don't really know what the player beside or behind them is doing because they don't even know football. We're not talking about, like, yeah, you can go out there and make plays and stuff like that. You can be a great athlete. It's a bunch of them at D1 level have no clue what's going on, but they are such a great athlete that they look like a great football player. And athleticism will only take you so far if you don't know what's going on. And so these are the things that go into development. And you may be saying to yourself, well, Justin, you really haven't, or Coach Justin, you haven't talked a lot about the training side of things. All that has to do with training. As a private trainer, yeah, you work on speed and agility, But you also have to work on when are we going to use the speed and agility? What really matters with speed and agility? Just like receivers. Every receiver wants to do some sort of release off the line. Okay, if you're working on your speed and you're faster than 90% of the people you play, and you got somebody playing press up on you, and you are quick enough, why would you ever do and knowing, understanding where you are in the play in this regard, there's not always a need to do foot fire off the line. There's not always a reason to use your hands off the line. Sometimes you just need the speed release. Speed release, get into your break, get going. And then you also have to understand too, where am I being read on the play? Everybody talks about I'm open, I'm open, I'm open. But then you don't think to yourself, well, am I read 2? Am I read 1? Am I read 3? Most time in high school, I'm going to be completely honest, this is real. Most quarterbacks are not going to even get to the third read because the offensive line is not that good. Most high school offensive line play is not great. Let's be real. But those are things you have to think about when it comes to training and development. A lot of people train, they get cones out, they wear a backwards hat, they got a backpack, and then they say, I'm a trainer. That's what makes my industry so hard from other industries. People think they can do it because it looks and appears easy. Or people discredit or discount what you do because, again, you make it look easy. But these are the things that you have to go over, not just in training, but understand concepts and what you're trying to do and how you can accomplish the goals you're trying to accomplish while staying on task. These are all part of development. Let's get back to it.
What it really comes down to is how you respond as you're absorbing information.
Okay.
When you go through a meeting, when you go through a position meeting, when you go out there on a practice field, when you go out and you're in a game and you have in-game adjustments, that's a lot of information that I have to process.
Yeah.
As a coach, you have to say, hey, does this player have the competence to really take what I'm telling him and execute it? Because some players aren't, but that doesn't make him a bad player. Some players need to watch film. Some players don't need to watch film. Some players need to, understand how some players are vocal. Some players aren't. Some players you need to tell once. Some players you need to tell 10 times.
Yeah.
You need to identify what it is.
Also, we want to talk about this too. When it comes to development, I think from a trainer's perspective, you should always know your kids, how they process information, and at what speed. Processing speed matters in sports, believe it or not, because if I can process, I can pattern recognize. Those things are why smart athletes make it decently far. People think, I know I've told some of my high school kids this, and they still don't do it. Of course, they're in high school, but they don't believe it. But I say, when you're in film, take notes. Not just notes on, and these are things you have to teach. Like if a kid says, hey, all right, coach, I want to learn how to do that, then you give them a little bit more. But not only notes on your offense and what it is that you're doing, but if your coach is telling you certain things like, okay, we're seeing this, or we want to add this or take away that, then you do need to study those things and go over it. People think sports is just shapes and lines. Like it's more than that. You have to be tactical and technically sound in order to be a great athlete. Those are the things that we try to do every single offseason at Legend of Athletics, because those are the things that pay dividends over and over and over again. If you cannot do those things at a high level and sustain that time and time again, you're not going to go very far in sports or in any game. I don't care how physically gifted you are. I don't care how fast you are. I don't care what you do. If you cannot do those things consistently, then it's over with. And that's just what it comes down to with development. A lot of coaches there's probably way more. I don't really like to give a bad rap to coaches, but there's way more coaches that don't develop anything or anybody, and they lean on this player is great, this player is able to do these things great, versus coaches who can actually take a talent and develop it. That's why I say so many times too, you have to be careful when you're a really good player at what you do with your skill, because sometimes your system can be too simplified for you, and that doesn't give you a great chance at the collegiate level. Or you can be so dominant at a level people really don't know who you are, especially if you're undersized. And that's just a harsh reality that some athletes deal with. Not every athlete, but some athletes deal with, and you have a huge learning curve because if I'm so much more physically imposing and dominating of every person I play, I'm not getting better. I mean, I'm winning, but I'm not getting better. And so you have to find a way to compete and challenge yourself and figure those things out as well, especially like for those of you that want to go on to play ball at another level. Those things are just important. And so anyway, I want to make this video. I wanted to make this video just to give like my perspective and my take on development from a private coach's standpoint, working in the area of sports performance. So that's entailing speed, agility, everything sports versus just one aspect, and give more light to that. And so if you like the video and like the content, as always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and be legendary.